There's a moment in the late 1980s when a young Belgian man, lean, tanned, and confident, steps into a Los Angeles karate dojo and says to the instructor, "I want to be a movie star." Not a fighter, not a stuntman, a movie star. People laughed, but within 5 years, that same man was headlining global box office hits: Bloodsport, Kickboxer, Universal Soldier, and earning millions. His name? Jean-Claude Van Damme. He was the Muscles from Brussels, a martial artist who became a Hollywood symbol of strength, style, and sometimes excess. But behind the flying kicks and slow-motion splits was a man battling demons, addiction, ego, and the search for balance. This is his story, a story about discipline, downfall, and redemption. Jean-Claude Camille Francois van Varenberg was born on October 18, 1960, in the Brussels suburb of Sint-Agatha-Berchem, Belgium. He wasn't the tough kid you might imagine. He was shy, thin, and wore glasses. His father enrolled him in karate classes at age 10 to build his confidence. The boy fell in love with discipline. He trained relentlessly, practicing forms and kicks long after his classmates left. By his late teens, he earned a black belt in Shotokan karate, trained in kickboxing and ballet, yes, ballet, to master balance and flexibility. He once said, "Ballet is the most difficult sport in the world. If you can survive ballet, you can survive anything." At 18, Van Damme opened his own gym in Brussels. But his ambitions reached far beyond Belgium. He idolized Bruce Lee and believed that martial arts could become cinema, a way to tell stories through motion. So, in 1982, with just a few $100s and limited English, he moved to Los Angeles. Hollywood wasn't waiting for him. He worked odd jobs, pizza delivery, carpet laying, bouncer at nightclubs, while auditioning for roles that never came. He even slept in his car at times, broke but unbroken. His persistence paid off in an unlikely way. In 1984, while working as a waiter, he met action film producer Menahem Golan of Cannon Films. Van Damme performed a spontaneous kick demonstration right there on the sidewalk, nearly hitting Golan in the face. It worked. Golan cast him in a small role, then gave him a bigger one, Frank Dux, in Bloodsport, 1988. Bloodsport was made on a shoestring budget, roughly $1.5 million, but it became a global phenomenon. Audiences loved the exotic Kumite tournament, the brutal fights, and Van Damme's trademark style: lightning kicks, slow-motion punches, and emotional intensity. He was no Arnold Schwarzenegger or Sylvester Stallone. He was graceful, a martial artist who fought like a dancer. The film's success transformed him overnight. Within a few years, he starred in Kickboxer, Lionheart, Double Impact, Universal Soldier, and Time Cop. By the early 1990s, he was one of the highest-paid action stars in the world. But fame, as it often does, became its own enemy. Hollywood in the 90s was a dangerous playground, and Van Damme dove in headfirst. He was making millions, partying endlessly, and living on little sleep. He developed a cocaine addiction, later admitting he was spending nearly $10,000 a week on the drug. His personal life was chaos. He married 5 times, fathered 3 children, and filed for multiple divorces. He clashed with directors, demanded creative control, and began showing up late, or not at all, to shoots. In interviews, he would drift between brilliance and incoherence, his charisma colliding with self-destruction. By 1997, the man once called Hollywood's Karate Kid was nearly unemployable. Major studios dropped him, fans moved on to new faces. He later said in an interview, "I lost everything. My career, my family, my confidence. I was fighting myself more than anyone else." In 1998, Jean-Claude was diagnosed with bipolar disorder, a revelation that reframed his past behavior. The wild highs, the erratic decisions, the emotional crashes, all symptoms of a deeper struggle. He began treatment, quit drugs, and slowly rebuilt his life. Unlike many who vanish, Jean-Claude chose honesty. He spoke openly about his diagnosis, saying, "I'm not ashamed. I'm human. My brain works in a different way, and I have to deal with that." That openness turned him from a fallen star into something more real, a man confronting his flaws. In the 2000s, Van Damme began a quiet comeback. He starred in JCVD 2008, a semi-autobiographical film that blurred fiction and reality. In one haunting scene, he breaks the fourth wall, confessing directly to the camera about his failures, addictions, and guilt. Critics called it the performance of his life. He followed with The Expendables 2, Jean-Claude Van Johnson, a self-parody series on Amazon, and a range of international projects. He was no longer just an action hero. He was a survivor who could laugh at his past and learn from it. Van Damme's story isn't just about martial arts or movies. It's about control of the body, the mind, and ultimately, of one's destiny. He once said, "My body is my temple. I respect it. But my mind, that's the real battle." From a shy boy in Brussels to a global star, then down to rock bottom and back again, he lived the full cycle of ambition, excess, and redemption. Today, he still trains daily, meditates, and promotes mental health awareness. He's known for his eccentric interviews and philosophical one-liners, sometimes poetic, sometimes confusing, but always sincere. He's become something few stars achieve, a cult figure, loved as much for his vulnerability as his strength. So when you watch that slow-motion kick in Bloodsport or the final fight in Kickboxer, remember, it wasn't just choreography. It was a lifetime of discipline, pain, and persistence condensed into one perfect moment. Jean-Claude Van Damme didn't just fight opponents on screen. He fought himself and lived to tell the story. And that's why, even decades later, the muscles from Brussels still matter. Not because of his perfect split or his roundhouse kick, but because he taught us that strength isn't the absence of struggle. It's the courage to keep standing after the fall.